Hey crafty friends, it has been a while since I have recorded a video, so I'm super excited to be back on today. I have been really busy with a couple of other side hustles and my day job, which is as a psychologist. So quick little plug, if you'd like to listen to my free podcast, Psych with a Mic, look for that on your favorite podcast platform, and you can get some information on mental health, how to help yourself, how to help others, and just how to feel better and do better as a person. So without further ado, let's get into today's project. So today's project begins with this adorable little truck that my customer found at Home Goods in our local area, and she wanted me to build a wreath around it. And it is super cute. It says Merry Christmas on the back. It has the little trees, cute as a button. So we're gonna build a wreath around this, and she wanted an evergreen wreath or a pine wreath as the background. So I've gone through and kind of fluffed this up a little bit. If you've ever crafted with pine, you know you'll have to do that again, probably multiple times, and definitely once at the end. All right, so after thinking about it, I actually like the idea of putting the truck on the side, off to this side here. I'll weave ribbon throughout, and then I'll make a big bow up here that kind of drapes down and gives it a lot of depth. And then I'll add in some embellishments to fill in some of these empty spots, maybe some pine cones and some other picks. So let's get going. And this ribbon is from Joanne, and I think it'll do a good job of tying in all of the colors on the truck. There's green, red, white. Those are the primary colors on the truck. And we'll weave this throughout. So my favorite way to attach ribbon when I'm weaving it throughout a wreath is using pipe cleaners. So I have these little bits and pieces of pipe cleaners that are from other projects. So when I've used a full-size pipe cleaner and then had to snip the ends off for some reason, these are the little pieces that are left, and they are actually perfect for little projects like this. So I just save them away in a container. They're 3-4 inches long, and they're just enough to get this ribbon attached to the wreath frame and help me hold that in there while I am working my way around the wreath. And then because it's a pipe cleaner, it is easier to remove in case I need to adjust. So I'm just going to fold my ribbon in half and attach it to the frame. All right, so the first ribbon I attached to the outer ring, and then the second section I'm going to attach to the inner ring. So it alternates back and forth between the rings and helps with the ribbon to weave throughout. Okay, so that one's on the bottom. This one is going to come up to the top, or the inner ring. Leave it a little loose so I can manipulate it. So let's test that out. So it's just enough to be a little color, but it's not huge or a giant loop that's sort of hanging down. And you can twist your pipe cleaner a few times, and then I will come back in later and snip off the ends of the pipe cleaners. As I said, I may want to move them around, so I'm not going to cut them just yet. All right, and then the next section, back down to the bottom ring or the outer ring. And no perfection here, guys. If you want perfection, you should probably watch another video with someone else. But just loosely weaving this through, just so it kind of peeks through the branches. And I'm probably, stretching it a good 5-6 inches each section, that is. Okay, so now that I have my ribbon woven through, you can see it kind of peeking out around. I decided I'm going to add a quick strand of some red lights that I had on hand. These are the little short strands that you can find at Dollar Tree, and I just think that will look so adorable with the truck. So we're going to attach it. It is a shorter strand, so we're just going to attach it here in the middle, and that way it covers the whole area, and it's more visible because it's up at the front. So you can attach your battery case with a little bit of hot glue. That will just kind of hold it in place. You can also attach it with a zip tie or a pipe cleaner, or you can just kind of let it hang down. So I will hold that in place while it attaches. And then I'm just going to put my lights through the middle. At this point, I'm just going to weave them around and attach them with pipe cleaners, just like I did the ribbon. Try to hide the cords as much as possible, but I'll worry about that later. Maybe tack them down with the additional pipe cleaners. So the next thing I'll do is go ahead and attach the truck loosely down in the lower corner, and that way I don't put a bunch of stuff behind it or waste materials that way either. So I'm just going to take this extra long zip tie, and I'm going to attach the first point, the only point for right now, to the truck bed. And just going to wrap that around so you can see where I've just put the zip tie in here, and then I'm just going to weave it down. And then get a good position for it. I want it to be off center, and I want it to kind of cover the little battery box for the lights, just in case that moves around much. So I think that's a good position, and I can move it, you know, slightly later if I need to, but I'm just going to go ahead and attach that to the outer ring of the wreath frame. All right, so that's enough just to hold its place on the wreath. Turn it this way so you guys can see it. But the little truck guy is going to just sit here on the off center, and then, like I said, my big bow will be right here with the tails. And then next, what we're going to do is put in some embellishments. So the truck is just kind of a placeholder for right now, not locked in. So in terms of embellishments, I've grabbed a few things that I had on hand, and this is some Christmas holly. You can see it's kind of frosted, kind of snowy. which I think is great for giving some depth and dimension to the pine. And this came from Michael's, actually. So that's where this is from. I have some little pine cones. These are small little guys, and these came from up in northern Arizona, just gathering them in the forest. But you can also buy these at a craft store, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann, whatever your pick. And then I also have some of these little picks, and these are from Joann as well. I have white and gold that I'm gonna just play around with. I'm thinking maybe the white will pick up on the snow and then the white in the ribbon, but it might end up being too much against this, so we'll see. The gold is more subdued and kind of ties in with the truck bed, so we'll just play around. All right, so first I want to put the, I want to add the depth, the dimension, and put the bulkiest pieces in first. So I'm going to take my holly branch and cut pieces off. Okay, so I've snipped off all of the holly that was on my pick, and I've pulled out the red. So when I'm adding color like this, I just like to make sure that they're evenly spaced. So we'll start with a branch up at the top. And I'm gonna add a placeholder actually for my ribbon. So my big bow is gonna be in this area. So I'm just gonna hold that there to make sure I don't put anything there that's gonna get in the way. So we'll put some red here. And over here. And then down here. Okay, so when you're adding embellishments that stand out, like these berries versus just the green, you want to make sure that you add items like that, or ornaments or pine cones when we do those, in odd numbers. So 3, 5, 7, 9. Just a decorating tip. It's also a jewelry tip if you wear bracelets. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Anyway, so I've got these placed evenly, and I have an odd number of those. So I'm going to go ahead and glue those in because I don't anticipate moving those. So be careful not to burn yourself if you're gluing with me, but I'm just going to put some glue on the end. The beautiful thing about pine wreaths is they have so many, the branches are so dense that they grab on easily and well to hot glue, and boy, they stick. So be sure you're convicted about your placement, and then you can just kind of wedge that in there and let it sit. It'll kind of drip down and attach to the pine branches. You may want to put something under your wreath as well to catch that if you're concerned about it. Okay, so move my ribbon out of the way, and we'll do this next one. Kind of aim that one down. And then wedge that last one in there. Okay, then beyond that, we're just taking the greenery and gluing it throughout just to add different texture and some more dimension to the wreath. So really no rules about placement of this in my book. And these, because they don't stand out as much as the red, they of course don't have to be in odd numbers. But we want I like my wreaths at least to be really full and have a lot of dimension and texture. So I'm going to add in a bunch of holly. So what I like to do is kind of space it sparsely around just to make sure I have enough to get all the way around the wreath, and then I'll go back and make it more dense. So just every few inches, just gonna wedge some of this down in there, let that attach. And if you attach it close to the edge, of course, it makes your wreath have a larger profile. So if you're trying to expand on the size of the pine. All right, so I've got a few pieces kind of placed in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'll just go back and fill in. Okay, so now I have all the greenery placed throughout, except for where my place marker is, because that's where my bow is going to be. My truck is offset, my red is evenly spaced. And now next what I will do is add some pine cones, and then we'll see if we want to use the other picks that we pulled out. So with pine cones, that's another one of those items that you want to be odd numbered, and you can use different sizes. You may want to use bigger ones on your wreath. The example that the customer sent me had these smaller ones, so I'm just going to stick with that. Okay, so I've placed my pine cones throughout. Oops, I forgot we've got the truck loosely attached. So you can see how they are just kind of littered throughout. Okay, so next is looking at adding some of these picks. And I've got gold and white. And I think the gold is almost kind of lost. So I think I will actually use the white. And this will brighten the wreath throughout. It will tie into the snow features here, and then it'll tie into the bow that I'm going to use up here, which has different ribbons that have some white in them. So that's my final answer, and I will just start gluing these throughout as well. Okay, so what I've done is gone through and taken just 2 of the picks and snipped off all their little pieces, and then I will go through and add those in. And these are wired, so you can spread them out so they're not all clustered together. Okay, so I've gone through and wedged the little white picks in, and here's where we're at so far. So you can see how the white just adds a little bit of color throughout and ties into the snow on the truck and trees. And then the ribbons that I use will tie everything all together. And then once that's placed, we'll take a look and see if we need to add in anything else.
And now we'll use Pro Bow the Hand to make our bow.
Okay, so now we're going to take all 3 ribbons and line them up, lay them on top of each other, and pinch them together. And put them in the wire. Wrap the wire around them. Just get a good couple twists. All right, and that's about midway through the peg. So then we are attached, and we anchor this top wire out of our way, just wrap it around the upper part of the peg, and then the bottom wire goes down to this little nail right here on the edge of the board, and that's going to hold that in place. The board is heavy, so I usually just put the tail under the board and let that hold it down. Make sure your bundle of ribbon is about midpoint. And then you're going to make your center loop first. So we just loop that around.
For detailed videos on how to use Pro Bow the Hand, just do a search online or on YouTube.
And then when you get to the back here, you're going to put the ribbons, pinch the ribbons together. And twist. So you're just going to make a little twist of all 3 ribbons, and now that's sitting at the back here. As I said, there are videos of Regina Sellers, the creator of Pro Bow, all over YouTube, creating bows with these, and you can get a step-by-step tutorial there from her. So we twist, and then you can go over these multiple times if you want to, but I think we have enough ribbon with what we're doing. So then we twist, and then we're back over here. And we keep this tight. And then pinch and twist those ribbons again. Hold that in place. And now I'm over on this side. And so you can see sometimes the writing is going to be upright and sometimes it's going to be upside down, but that's okay. You're going to spread this all out around the bow and it will be fine. So now this is held pretty well in place because I've kept it nice and tight. So I can let go. Getting started is the hard part, you guys. And then we're going to pinch that together. Oh, watch your end of your wire. So twist again. And we're back over here on the other side. So every now and then when you're doing more than one ribbon, you just want to double check that they're all straight and not bundled up, because once they're pinched together with the wire at the end, it's very difficult to straighten them out. Okay, so that's down, and then pinch and twist again. Okay, so at this point I'm really low on the ribbon that I wove through the wreath. So I'm going to pull that one out. Of course, it's not ideal, but I need to pull that out so that I have some left for the tails that are going to hang down. So I'm going to go ahead and pinch and twist and get ready for the next loop. But I'm going to go ahead and keep this guy aside. So I'll shove that under here to hold on to. And then I'm just going to proceed with the other two. And that's okay. Like I said, the ribbon will be woven throughout. And we just want to make sure we have tails of all three colors of ribbon. So I'm going to do another one here. And then pinch and twist. Loop over there, come back to center, pinch and twist. And hit that last peg. Pinch and twist and grab the last peg on the other side. And you'll see these are pretty taut. They're not baggy or loose. You want to make sure you keep it tight throughout the process. Okay, now you pinch again. And twist. Then we're ready for our tails. So now I'm pulling my guy back out here. And I'm gonna have these all together. Just got out of this one too. And pull that off. And then I'm going to pull enough out to make a couple of loops with tails. So now these will be the little streamers that hang down at the bottom. I'm actually going to go ahead and fasten this before I do the loops. So I take my wire off the top, I unravel it or unwrap it from the nail, and then I keep that nice and tight. And then I'm going to tightly twist those into place, make sure they're secure. Okay, so I looped the remaining ribbon around, and then I'll cut this in the middle, and this will be the tails coming out of the bottom of the ribbon. So that is done, and then it's fastened here to hold everything in place. And then we pull out all the pegs. And we can take a look at our ribbon. So we have plenty of wire left here to fasten everything. And I'm just going to smash this all together. Just make sure we've got a nice tight grip on that before I start pulling. And then we can get these all situated. And then we can start kind of spreading them out and taking a look at what we have. So I just alternate the directions that I spread them out in, and then twist them around, move them around. Okay, so I am satisfied with that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these into the tails. All right, and then you can see these are pretty long. So what I'll do once I get it attached is I will coil these up to make them kind of drip down like that. And what I like to do is snip the ends snip the little V in the middle. So I will do that after I'm done because usually it'll start to fray and then I have to recut it anyway. So I'm just going to leave those in their current form. Okay, so we are ready to attach our bow. So I've got the green wire left over from using the Pro Bow, and we're just gonna find a place for that in our spot that we had planned, and then wrap the wires around the wreath frame. So I put one around the bottom ring of the frame and one around the top. And we want to pull this up, make sure we get through all this stuff so that this is going to be nice and tight on the other side. Check the placement again. I think we're good. So pull this nice and tight so the bow sits high and straight. And we are just fastening it to the frame. All right, and then let's get our tails to lay the right way, and let's get an idea of where this is going to sit. And then we'll go ahead and fasten our truck fully. We put the one zip tie on, so now we'll get another one and make sure the truck is on there nice and tight. So this one I'm going to send through this little grill part on the other side. So I'm going to weave the tip in at the bottom of the 4 slats. Pull that through to the end of the zip tie block, locking it, and then through the top of the slats. So then we just attach that to the wreath frame. Make sure we like our positioning here, and then we will lock it in. All right, that is situated. Cut the zip tie. All right, and then let's work on our bow. So we just want to make sure all 3 of the ribbons are relatively evenly distributed in our bow so there's not a gathering of one color. All right, so we have that all nice and fluffed out. And then let's pull our tails down here. And I like for the tails to hang at different lengths. So we're going to cut those a little. Just slightly different. So I'm cutting off about 3 inches on the black ribbon. And then maybe 1.5 inches on the red. And then before I curl them, I'm going to go ahead and cut those V's into the ends. So I just fold the ribbon in half and cut at an angle, and you get that nice little V. Okay, so we have all of those cut, and then we start to roll. So you just pull the ribbon out and just roll it up. You can roll it around something if that's easier for you, but I just usually start with my finger. And roll it up. All right, so we've got those all curled up, and then what I like to do is put the longest one at the back, so that was this little truck ribbon that we left. And so then you just kind of pull down on that. All right, and then we have our Farmhouse Christmas truck wreath. So you can rotate this bow a little bit so it is more straight. and do a final fluff on the ribbons, and then turn our lights on, and we are done. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'd love to see your pictures if you do one of these as well. And outside of that, I wish you guys all a Merry Christmas.